Hello and welcome to this lecture. What is NoSQL? Basically, a NoSQL database is a kind of hash table. A hash table is a data structure used to implement a type of associative array, which is a structure that can map keys to values. NoSQL are faster than a traditional database due to their fast lookup tables. All right, so they got fast lookup, so they're much faster than a traditional relational database. They don't have a fixed schema. The schema can be dynamic, unlike a traditional database where you have to define the schema before you use it. With a NoSQL database, the schema is dynamic and can be defined at execution. Another characteristics of NoSQL databases is that they do not use SQL to query data. They use JSON to query data. The data in NoSQL databases can be semi-structured or unstructured compared to the traditional databases where the data is structured and ordered in tables. Let's take a look at some differences between a NoSQL databases that does not use SQL to query data and a traditional relational database that uses SQL to query data. So these are some of the differences between a traditional database that uses SQL to query data and a NoSQL database that uses things like JSON to query data. So with a traditional database, the model type is relational. NoSQL is non-relational. Traditional databases deals with small to medium data sets, while NoSQL databases can handle large data sets. With traditional databases, it is schema based. The schema has to be predefined before it can be used. With NoSQL databases, the schema is kind of like dynamic, almost schemaless. So it's defined when at execution level. So it's almost schemaless and dynamic. With scalability, you can scale the traditional databases vertically and you can scale the NoSQL databases horizontally. The traditional database uses the International Structured Query Language known as SQL, also pronounced as SQL. It uses that to query data, while NoSQL databases can use JSON to query data. Traditional databases can use table joins to build complex SQL queries. NoSQL databases does not require any table joins. The support for traditional databases is great because it's been around for quite a while, so it's quite a robust support available, while the support for NoSQL databases is still maturing. It's kind of like community-based support at the moment. The traditional database is not as flexible because the schema is rigid and strict. It has to be defined before it can be used, while the NoSQL databases has a more flexible dynamic schema. With traditional databases, you need to take the database down for maintenance, if you want to do maintenance and stuff, while the NoSQL databases, you don't necessarily have to take the database down and there is no outage, so it's kind of like automatic. The traditional database uses the ACID acronym for transaction. You can look up that word if you just type in ACID transaction in Google, it'll tell you what it means. It's an acronym, so the A, the C, the I, and the D, they mean different words. So, but it's beyond the scope of this lecture to explain it to you. But you can do a Google search on it; it will explain it better. And the NoSQL databases uses the CAP theorem type of transaction. Although it's work in progress, so this can vary in some instances of NoSQL databases. The current state of the traditional databases is that it is mature, it's been around for a while, and kind of like robust. The NoSQL databases is still emerging, it's an emerging technology, and it is still growing. The data structure for traditional databases is kind of like it's a structured format, and the data is stored in tables and well organized. In terms of NoSQL databases, is either the data is either unstructured or semi-structured, and data is stored in JSON. Examples of traditional databases include Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL. There's a lot more, but these are just a few. Examples of NoSQL databases include MongoDB, Cassandra, HBase, and CouchDB. This is just a quick illustration of the data models for the relational database and the NoSQL database. So the NoSQL database largely has the document data model, while the traditional one has a relational data model. This model is non-relational, while this one is relational. So you can see the data is stored in tables, while for NoSQL is stored in JSON objects. All right. It is also estimated that by 2018, the NoSQL market would have grown to about 14 billion. That's it for this lecture. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and bye for now.